We are now going to talk about how to actually program in RobotC once we have our motors and sensors set up. If for some reason our port is not working or we need to check to see if it's a motor or a sensor problem, we can come up here to our port. We can move our right motor to whatever port we want to, but we need to make sure to tell the program that we have moved it by putting what port we have moved it into up here. Always check to make sure your ports are correct and that your sensors are plugged into the correct port. If you don't, the robot and the program are not going to communicate with one another correctly, and it's not going to run your program. The first thing that we're going to talk about is putting in our pseudocode. The pseudocode is going to break down our program and tell us what we're going to do in language that makes sense outside of computer programming. To put in pseudocode, you're going to make sure that it's going between these green slashes. This is not going to actually read in the program, it's just information for us. So I'm going to first tell it what I want it to do, which is to start the left motor at a speed of 60. 60 is going to make it go about halfway. It runs from -127, which would run it backwards at full speed, to 127, which is forwards at full speed. And then after I start the left motor at a speed of 60, I want to give it a wait time. And I'm going to tell it to wait 2 seconds. And then after I give it a wait time, I want to stop the left motor. Now whenever I bring up this program, I can see what this program is supposed to do when it's running by just reading this sentence. This is extremely helpful when you have a whole lot of basic and simple behaviors that becomes more complex behavior in the end. So now we're going to actually talk about the programming language. We have set it up to where now we have this natural language, and we're going to use a drag and drop. And so I'm going to come over here to movement because I want it to start a motor. Now I want to take and click, holding it where it says start motor, drag it over. I want it underneath of this bracket. You always have to have a bracket that starts and stops your program. I'm going to take this bracket away so you can see what happens if I do not. Now this is in black where it says motor port and speed. So I want to replace these because I need these to turn red. This is going to be the actual motor that I'm going to be using, and I have to spell it the way that I put it in the program, and I'm going to put it at a speed of 60. I can also come over here. Anytime I add // that's going to allow me to give comments. So I can also break it down right here. Start left motor at a speed of 60. Then I want to hit enter so that I can put my next part of code. So it's not going to read anything in green, but it is going to read this. It has to end a line in a semicolon. Okay, so if you are actually typing in, which you can do instead of dragging and dropping, you want to make sure you don't forget this. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is give it a wait time. Wait is over here, and we want to put the wait, the first wait command. This is going to be in seconds. Again, this is black, so we want to tell it how long. Up here it says we want to wait 2 seconds. So I'm going to put my 2. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to put in that behavior, that simple behavior. I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to hit the movement again. And this time I want to stop the motor. Now, notice this time it only has one because when you're stopping a motor, that means it's going to 0, so there's no speed that you need to put in. So I'm going to tell it what motor to stop, which is our left motor. And I'm going to take the semicolon away so you can see also what it does whenever I take it away. So I have stop left motor, and that's what I'm just going to add over here in my comments. These comments are going to help me to determine what's going wrong if my robot isn't quite running the way that it's supposed to. I'm going to hit compile program. This is going to tell me any errors that happen. And I am going to get some errors because I took that bracket away and I also left the semicolon. So the first thing that you're going to notice is that it tells me every line that I have an error in. So in line 11, it tells me I have an unmatched left brace. That means at the very bottom, I need that match. It also tells me in 14 that I'm expected to have a semicolon, and then also that I need that match. So it tells me that match brace needs to go after the line 14, and it also tells me about my semicolon. So this information down here will tell you what's wrong. You just have to read it. So I'm going to go ahead and put my semicolon in. I'm going to hit enter after my green, and I'm going to put that bracket in. Once I put that bracket in and I put my semicolon, I'm going to compile it again. And now it tells me I have it compiled. So this is a correct program. You just have to make sure now that it runs on your robot testbed the way you're expecting it to. To get it to run, you're going to have to hit download to program. You have to have your VEX plugged in, the Cortex. You want to make sure that the cord is plugged in before you turn it on. Once you get the orange cord plugged in, make sure your battery is also plugged in. Flip the switch. Mine is not connected, so when I hit download to robot, it's going to say a VEX error. There's no communication link. Yours should come up. It should download it to program, and there will be a start box that you will hit to be able to run that program. I'm also going to show you if I spell this incorrectly. I'm going to get an yellow X. Yellow X's work differently than red X's. Yellow X's will run the program, but it's telling you there's something not quite right. What it's saying is it's substituting the left motor, which has the capital, for the one that you actually put. Sometimes it will run correctly, sometimes it won't. So it's always good to not have any errors and make sure that when you hit compile program, it says compiled. So that is going to be the first program that you need to complete before you begin programming the second task.